Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Mindful Place Summit. Today we have Lani Gerszonovicz, and she is the founder of A-Z Mindfulness, mindfulness coach, and author of Mindful Students. She took her first mindful breath at age 8, and since 2004 has taught yoga and mindfulness to thousands. Lani leads engaging interactive group sessions. She coaches individuals privately, presents inspiring professional development, and speaker at mindful conferences worldwide. As a wife, mother, entrepreneur, and lover of life, Lani has many opportunities to practice being present. She is grateful to share her A-Z mindful practices while empowering others to live mindfully. Yay! Thank you, Lani, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Crystal. It's so nice to be here.
So nice to meet you. I'm excited to hear about your A-Z mindfulness. If you could take a moment and just talk about that and what kind of was brewing inside you to create this.
Well, I think that mindfulness should be available to everybody, no matter the age. So I've worked with kids as young as 2, and I've worked with adults as old as 93, and everyone in between. And everybody really needs the opportunity to practice mindfulness. And given tools and given a framework of tools where it's A through Z, so they can go through a system, it makes it really accessible for everybody. And obviously in the early education years, A through Z, we want them to learn their alphabet. We can make it playful, and the more you can layer learning, it's very exciting. But believe it or not, in the older years, they like it too. Like, oh, what comes next? You know, as humans, we like a system, we like a process. So I have been teaching yoga and mindfulness for a long time and practicing since I was very young, like my early education years. And I have all of my favorite techniques that I've put together in this A through Z. So there's, one for each letter of the alphabet, and they're pretty playful. So you can make them really age appropriate for whoever you're presenting them to.
Beautiful. I love that. So you're talking about adapting them to different age groups and stuff like that. So how would you do that with the strategies that are provided?
So I have a book, and in the book they're scripted out. So you can just read along, and that would be more, I would say, for the elementary age. It would be very appropriate for that age. You can read it for younger, you might lose them a little bit. With the younger ones, they love movement. So if you can put it into movement for them, and they really connect with their senses and their bodies. So the more we can have them embody the practice, the greater they're engaged, the greater their engagement. So for the little ones, I like to make it very playful, a lot of movement. And obviously when people get older and have aches and pains, we can monitor the movement to make it smaller, and we can do more of the mind-body practices. But for any age, you're working on body, breath, and just really gaining more presence and more awareness. So it doesn't matter how old you are.
I love that. So it sounds like it's a framework, and you can adjust it to the needs of the age of the group that you're working with.
Absolutely.
Or your own children.
Yeah, so as an educator, as a parent, you know what works with your child or your student. And, I have educators who don't practice mindfulness or yoga, and they follow verbatim. And then I have educators who have their own practice, and they're like, oh, what if I do this? And I'm like, that's amazing. I mean, my teachers are my teachers. They're inspiring me. So when my work inspires somebody else to go in a different direction, and they're just using it as a foundation, that's wonderful. So, and if you want to use it as your complete guide and read it scripted, that's wonderful too. So it's really good for educators at any level of mindfulness where they are.
I love that. When would you suggest would be a good time, like right time to practice this type of work?
Well, I like consistency. So I think if you're bringing it into a classroom setting or into a home setting, obviously routine works. So, if you do it like right before you brush your teeth or right after you brush your teeth, at home, at school, around transitions are really nice. So, oh, we're going to go, we just came in from recess. Great. Now let's get mindful. Let's do our A practice today. So I like having scheduled times and then interweaving it throughout the day. So you can do any of these activities in a minute really, I mean, it doesn't take long to take a deep breath, to notice where your body's breathing, right? To notice which parts of you are moving, to notice what you hear. It can literally take 5 seconds. I said a minute, but you can do it. So throughout the day, if you have, you're losing their attention or you're noticing they're really not being present, you can call on them and say, oh, let's listen to 3 sounds. Shh, close your eyes. Let's really listen, listen, listen. And then you can just get them really present in the moment. And they, kids of all ages love games. So it's really fun to play and explore and have a set time at the day, but make it a game to like, oh, when can we practice mindfulness? Can we practice it while we're putting our coats on? Can we practice it while we're eating? How could you eat more mindfully? What would we do? If you were having a conversation with somebody, if you were talking to somebody, how could you be a mindful listener? So you can weave it all throughout the day. And obviously the more you do it, the better it is. Like anything, practice makes a very interesting experience.
Absolutely. Well, and I love how you're saying that it doesn't have, you can have the consistency, but you can also integrate it and weave it throughout the day. So it's not just that like one extra thing, it's this natural flow and expanding on the existing learning to enrich it with these concepts. I absolutely love that. Now, I just have a personal question. Do you have a favorite letter? Is there one that kind of hits you where you're like, oh, I just love the letter O? Like, do you have a favorite?
It's funny you said the letter O. I love all of them. They're all of my real favorites. I'm not even kidding. But the letter O, students love. It's ocean breath. So you can hear it, you can feel it, you can add body parts, you can really, you can use your imagination. So you can cultivate all of your senses and your mind, body, breath practices with ocean breath. And kids of all ages love it. You can be 2 years old and hearing the sound of the ocean in your breath is very grounding. It's very soothing. And feeling your body move like a wave, that undulation, the in and out, the up and down, the swelling, kids really enjoy that. And with the audible sound, it really anchors them in the moment. So O for ocean breath is a really fun one. When you ask what my favorite, and we're talking about early education, jiggle jam. They love it. You're just moving your body and jiggling and shaking all your stress away and making your body feel good. And they just love jiggle jam.
When you're talking, I want to join in with you. I'm like,
it's fun. Jiggle like Jello.
Absolutely. Well, that's a key piece too, right? Is to have fun with it, like you say, and hearing the passion in your voice, it gets me excited where, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to learn more about the A to Z. So where can our listeners find you? I know we're going to put some links below so everybody can kind of sort there, but from yourself, I know you've got some resources that we're going to share a little bit here and programs, but where can our listeners find you?
Well, on my website, it's A-Z, so it's like the dash sign. So A through Z Mindfulness.com. And on my website, there's a video link. So you can link to the video or you can go to YouTube, A-Z Mindfulness. There's free videos there. On my website, I'm in the process of updating the calendar and the PayPal so you can sign up right online for group or individual classes. And I have anywhere on social media. So my Insta is A-Z Mindfulness and not the dash on Insta. the Insta doesn't take dash. And on Facebook, A-Z Mindfulness. So you can find me in any of those places. I would really recommend enjoying the free videos on YouTube or on my website. Really nice, and scheduling sessions if you'd like.
Absolutely. And I know we're very grateful that you've come on and you're offering a free signing of your book, which is A-Z Mindfulness, the Mindful Students. So if you could just touch a little bit on that, and we're going to give you a little bit of a code word on how to enter into this draw at the end of our call today. But what could your listeners expect if they, were wanting to either purchase or if they're the lucky winner of this signed book?
So on my website, A-Z Mindfulness, on the Mindful Students page, in the middle of the page, there's a link where you can go online and buy it on any of the online retailers. I think mine links you to Target. or Amazon. I don't know. It links you to one of them. So you can buy it just on my website. And for your listeners, we're going to be doing a giveaway. So I will sign a copy. It's Mindful Students, and it's A through Z, social and emotional learning in the classroom and beyond, if you can see. Yeah, and I just really love the image too. I have permission from the artist to use that. And I think, to me, that just really sums up mindfulness, right? Children are naturally very mindful and present, and they get so engaged in what they're doing in their play. And we just have to remind them, like, hey, you're being mindful, right? This is so great, because once you empower them in those early education years and they know how it feels to be mindful, when they're so plugged in and they're so happy and focused on what they're doing, and they can get lost in time and space because they're so engaged and connected, and they realize, like, that feels good. I have tools to get me back there. So in the early age, it's really just reinforcing what they naturally know. And in the later years, it's like, wait, we have to bring you back. you have this inside of you. We just have to remind you how good it feels to get quiet and connect to the moment, your breath, your body. Let your thoughts settle for a second instead of getting so lost in them.
Absolutely. That's really beautifully put. You make it sound so simple, and I love that about it, for sure.
That's, I think, what makes me a good teacher is it seems so natural, when you're in a state of awareness, everything is better. And I love to have the kids understand that, right? If you're drawing a picture, if you're making music, if you're cuddling with mom and you're doing these things, if you're eating and you're just, ooh, it tastes so good, it smells so good, right? You're getting the textures popping in your mouth. You could feel your mouth salivate. I mean, life is amazing, right? Everything is so much more vibrant. And when I bring the kids into the moment and they're like, they realize it's so wonderful, and they have these tools to live in the present moment in a wonderful, happy state. And there is just tons of research that teaches us that people who practice mindfulness are just happier, more meaningful relationships, more focused, more able to emotionally regulate, better self-esteem. It's just on and on, the benefits. So teaching kids at a young age, it's a gift, and it brings out the child in me. Makes my inner child happy when I teach.
Absolutely. And while you're teaching, you're also reaping the benefits, right? It's that universal teaching and healing and educating and expanding. It's very, very beautiful. Okay, so the code word. So there's an email that's going to be linked below where you can send your code word. Is going to be Mindful Students. So if you want to enter in to get this book signing, then email that code word to the email address posted below. Now, Lani, is there anything else you want to leave with our listeners today?
Well, when you're teaching the early education level, and I know a lot of us are on Zoom now too. I don't know if you guys are in classroom, but either way, if you can have visuals to really engage them, they love it. I mean, most mindful teachers have like a breathing ball, right? This is so fun to watch it fill up when you breathe in, and when you breathe out, it gets really small. Can you make your body do this? Right? And it's mesmerizing. It's beautiful. It's colorful. They can feel it. They can relate to it. So kids love that. I have just a pinwheel. This one fell apart. But I asked the kids on Zoom, or before COVID, I would ask them to breathe with me, or I would let them all blow on it. Now, obviously, we wouldn't do that. But on Zoom, you can I'll say, I got to get this to spin. Watch how powerful the breath is. Can you help me? Right? And the little ones, they try so hard to blow and help me blow it. So we'll blow together. Take a big breath in. You can, yes, Krista, take a big breath in, fill yourself up, and blow. Let's see if we can get it to go. Yay! Yay! And the visuals are great, and they realize the power of their breath. The breath, I can feel it, I can see it, I can hear it, right? Very powerful. And this is the cover of my book. I shrink it down to fit inside of here, which kids just think is miraculous. If you want a mindful experience, they're blown away by this. Like, it's just the computer shrink. This slides out, slide it in. But I love for them with the visual. So when I explain that like this, that like when we have a lot of thoughts going on, it's like a snowstorm, right? And it's like so cloudy, it's like a blizzard, right? You can't see clearly. But if you just take a breath and you can let your thoughts settle like the snow, you can see more clearly, you can be more creative, you can make better decisions, you can think more clearly, right? And it really is a beautiful way to be, and they love it. And then so using their senses any way you can is very powerful. In person or Zoom, I just have a chime. And I just like, because sometimes they don't want to close their eyes, and you don't have to. If you want to practice, you might hear more, you might feel more, but if you want to look around, that's okay too, right? So that's a way to be mindful, is see what's around you. When you close your eyes, it's like a superpower though. You might feel more and hear more. So try closing your eyes and listen to the sounds you hear. See how many sounds you can hear before I play my chime. And then I'll ask them to open their eyes. I'm like, how many sounds did you hear? Did everybody hear at least one sound? Did anybody? And then you can have them put their fingers up, how many sounds they heard. And then you can, did anybody hear any sounds around them? And then you can have them tell you, because I mean, when they can reflect and share, at any age, people obviously like that connection too, and to be heard. But when you can, say, did you hear anything in the classroom? Did you hear anything outside of the classroom? Did you hear anything inside of your body? And some kids, I mean, they could be 3 years old. They hear their heartbeat. They heard themselves swallow. They heard their body on the rug moving around, right? They can hear their breath. And sometimes I cue them, sometimes I don't. So it just depends how mindful they are. And they love playing with their senses and exploring their world through their senses. And we're just there to guide them.
Really beautiful. And even you just bringing those exercises through, clearly I like to play, so I want to join in all the time, but I could even sense the energy just shift, right? Listening for the chimes, like you mentioned, and it's just simple, few seconds to just bring that awareness back in and having them acknowledge what's happening inside of them and around them. It's super beautiful. I just want to share my appreciation because spending some time popping on today, I've really enjoyed our chat. And for those that are listening, if you have any questions or, they want to reach out, we'll put your contact information down below as well. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time today.
Well, thank you for putting this together. It is so nice to have a resource when people want to get on this path and they are lost, they don't know where to begin. So having one place to start or several resources, it makes it not so scary for parents, for educators, right? If you want to bring it into your classroom, it's like, I can do this, right? And if you are going to do it, I would recommend just practicing on your own before you do it. So you can share some of that with your students and your kids.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And we'll chat soon.
Thank you. Take care. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.